Hi there. Welcome to BoomerTube's podcast, the place for baby boomers to come play with your own age group. I'm Deb, and I'm your host. There are a lot of things to remember about the 70s. Bell-bottoms, disco, Star Wars, and if you were invited to a party on a Saturday night that involved food, chances were pretty good that there would be fondue. Yep, we'd show up with a bottle of whatever kind of wine we could afford and wearing those bell-bottoms to a friend's house. They would have the Eagles, the Carpenters, or Carole King on the turntable for mood music, and out came those long-handled tiny forks. One reason for its popularity in the 70s was that fondue is about as sociable, affordable, and easy as a meal can get. Fondue is typically eaten with the aforementioned long-handled forks dipped and twirled in a communal pot, usually heated with a sterno or a special gel fuel under the pot, although electric fondue pots also emerged at that time as well. The star of the show usually consists of different types of warm cheeses with bread cubes from, for example, French bread for dipping. The ones I remember were usually the standard issue Harvest Gold or Avocado Green, the kitchen colors of the time. So you heat the cheese, you cube the bread, and it's a party now. Lipton Soup even had a fondue recipe of its own in the 70s. Original, or European fondue, is actually a tad more complicated to prepare. To make classic Swiss fondue, a fondue pot, or caquelin in Swiss French, is first rubbed with a cut garlic clove, then dry white wine is added and heated, sometimes with a little cornstarch or flour, pepper, and nutmeg. A blend of shredded Swiss cheeses is then added, most typically Gruyere, as well as Emmentaler and or Appenzeller are the most traditional cheeses used in fondue. And the mixture is stirred constantly until the cheese is melted. Cubes of French bread are then used for dipping, but other bathers, as they call them, can include apples, fingerling potatoes, most fresh vegetables, or chunks of beef, chicken, or pork. Traditional Swiss fondue has been taken in new directions by creative cooks around the world. For example, an American created chipotle and tequila fondue, which added a zesty Mexican spin on things rather than using an exclusive traditional base of wine. Others went a different route, coming up with a lower-fat version that used mashed cannellini beans to slim down the recipe while keeping a thick texture. Seriously? Where did fondue come from, you ask? Well, its history isn't that of an innocent, light-hearted, and cheesy food fest. Here's the dirt. Fondue first emerged at the Swiss Pavilion's Alpine restaurant at the 1964 World Fair in New York, and soon gained a huge following. But this didn't just happen by accident. It was planned by the Swiss Cheese Union, a shadowy association of cheesemakers whose purpose was to convince the world it needed to consume pots full of their cheese, mostly because they had too much of it. Their cheese was piling up, so the cheesemakers decided to form an agreement among competitors not to compete. It was like OPEC for cheese. For decades, they set the price of milk, limited production, and restricted the kinds of cheese you could make in Switzerland. The cheese cartel just grew more ambitious. In the 50s and 60s, they decided it wasn't enough to control the supply. They also wanted to boost demand, to get people to eat surplus Swiss cheese by the bucket. That's when they started thinking about that one dish they eat up in the Alps. They could sell it with a traditional story behind it to show that cheese was a very healthy food from that glamorous part of the world. The cheese cartel sold it hard in the 70s, Big ad campaigns based around attractive Swiss people in ski sweaters, sharing the pots of yummy goodness. With the rise of globalization, it didn't take very long for that message to hit the U.S. Alarms eventually sounded because the Swiss government was spending so much money subsidizing cheese and fondue, and there were allegations of corruption. A Swiss cheese official went to jail. By the end of the 90s, the Swiss Cheese Union had collapsed. But even with the cartel gone, everyone decided that this fondue thing was still pretty great for the cheese business. And to this day, they are insistent in Switzerland that when you try the fondue, you don't stop eating until you hit the bottom. Because it's tradition in Switzerland. You don't stop until you hit the bottom. So there it is, the dark and mysterious past of fondue.
It's hot and gooey and made for dipping. Not just for one, but for two or more people. It's fondue, a tasty melted treat in a heated communal pot.
Fondue made a comeback in the early 2000s and has been growing in popularity ever since. There's even a National Cheese Fondue Day now. Fondue equipment, pots, forks, etc., can still be easily found today at retailers around the country. You can even enjoy fondue at some restaurants. There's a well-known chain that appears to have several locations, but I'm not going to name them because we went there a few years ago and weren't impressed. We decided it was much more fun to do fondue at home. The ingredients are affordable, there's very little preparation required besides chopping up the dipping foods, and you don't have to spend any time stressing in the kitchen if you're entertaining guests. Fondue allows everyone to sit down and enjoy a meal together, kind of like sitting around a bonfire toasting marshmallows over the flames, without all the smoke. So, go ahead. Throw a retro dinner party. Heck, go big and set up two fondues. Have a main cheese fondue with breads, meats, tomatoes for dipping, and a dessert fondue with chocolate, and dip bananas, strawberries, pineapple, or marshmallows. For fall, do a caramel fondue and dip apples. There are lots of great fondue recipes online. Fondue is always a fun and informal way to have a good time. If you've listened to our previous podcast, you know we like to showcase original music written and performed by our listeners. We play this episode's song here, then post it at BoomerTube where you can download it. The name of the artist and their contact information is posted there as well. This week, we're welcoming back our good friend and amazing vocalist, Dave Robinette. Dave is a musician who was born in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and fell in love with Boise, Idaho in 1981 after living in Utah for several years. He's been a musician from the age of 3 when his uncle taught him to sing. Dave has been in over 30 bands throughout his life, ranging from R&B to country to rock and roll. He also has an impressive background as a soloist. Music is the only thing I know, he's often been quoted as saying. He continues to build an already large fan base and loves to perform live. You can see Dave's videos on YouTube. He's currently putting together an album of his work called Surface. Here's a song by Dave called Somebody.
Somebody's getting hungry, somebody's getting bad, somebody's just about starving to death for the good love he's never had. Just take a look at the situation. I'm empty-handed again. Somebody made a fool of somebody. Just look at the shape I'm in. For 5 long years, through blood, sweat, and tears, I've been faithful to my girl. Her every wish was my command. I'd give her anything in this world. But the secrets of a woman is something you will never know. She had a large fascination with a long vacation and some fellow named Romeo. Somebody's getting hungry. Somebody's getting bad. Somebody's just about starving to death for the good love he's never had. Just take a look at the situation. I'm empty-handed again. Somebody made a fool of somebody. Just look at the shape I'm in. Well, it's a hardcore lesson in the book of love, but it's one that I come to know. She came to me, said she had to be free. If you love something, let it go. I'd rather say that if it comes back, it's yours. If it doesn't, it never was. Don't hold your breath while she's leaving. If the love you believe was meant to be really never was. Somebody's getting bad now. Somebody's getting bad. Yeah, yeah. Somebody's just about starving to death. Good love. For the good love he's never had. Take a good look, baby, at the situation. I'm empty-handed now. I'm empty-handed again. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Somebody made a fool of somebody. Just look at the shape I'm in. Now everybody's got someone they can have and hold. I'm just a simple man. Since I got burned, you know I feel so cold. I'll never understand. My sweet little Juliet. Somebody's getting hungry. Somebody's getting bad. Somebody's getting bad. Ooh, baby. Somebody's just about starving to death for the good love he's never had. Just take a good look, baby, at the situation. I'm empty-handed now. I'm empty-handed again. Somebody made somebody, yeah, yeah, fool of somebody, ooh, yeah, fool of somebody. Just look at the shape I'm in. Look at the shape I'm in. Yeah, sing it, boys. Somebody, yeah, somebody, ooh, baby, somebody now, somebody made a small corn food now. Somebody, ooh, baby, somebody, oh, somebody, yeah,
You just heard Dave Robinette with Somebody. Thank you so much, Dave, for that fun and funky tune. Be sure to let us know when that album is available so we can share it with our listeners. We love to hear and play original music, so I hope you're inspired to send us yours. We like to keep it classic like rock, country, or the blues, but if you've got a tune representing another genre or an instrumental, we would love to hear it. You'll find guidelines for submitting music to us at boomertube.com. Please make it a recording with a group or an instrument. Put on your best voice and let us help you showcase your work because you never know who might be listening. Also, we would love to make your story a part of our podcast. If you have a unique, funny, or poignant anecdote about growing up, your teenage years, music, cars, dating, your parents, anything you think our listeners might enjoy, send it to us. We're boomers, and most of us were raised by the greatest generation, an exceptional group of people who deserve our enduring respect. And if you've enjoyed our podcast, it would mean a lot to us if you would share it with your friends and family. Once again, the website is boomertube.com, and you can email me at deb@boomertube.com. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, come play with your own age group. Deb out.